Welcome, everybody, to the Entrepreneurial Collective podcast, where we tell it like it is, and it is like we tell it. As always, I'm your host, Dickie, and I'm really excited about this week's episode. You know, we've been plowing into a number of topics, and this is one that arguably could have and should have been the very first episode. And you know what it's titled? It's titled, How to Start Your Entrepreneurial Journey. That's right, we're going to delve deep on exactly how to get started. You know, tips and strategies are amazing, and they're great, and they're very helpful. However, I know there's a lot of you out there that are like, hey man, I know I've got this thing inside me. I know I want to bring it out to the world, but how do I get started, you know? And one of the laws that I love teaching people is the fact that it's the start that stops most people. So, with that being said, we are going to focus and dial in on what I believe are the two options you have when it comes to starting your entrepreneurial venture. And I want to dive deep into both of them because depending on where you are in your current life, you know, professionally, personally, etc., you may or may not have an option to choose between the two. So, the first option that I want to talk about, and let's get right into it here, is we want to talk about bringing it along on the side, okay? Have you heard that before? Hey, man, just bring it along on the side. Well, some of you might be currently in, jobs or positions. You know, some of you might be in your sales career right now, absolutely crushing life, doing amazing. However, again, you've got this thing inside you, that baby, if you will, and it's time to give birth to it, time to release it to the rest of the world. And that is exactly it, your entrepreneurial journey. So in some instances, you're going to have a lot of you who are currently consumed with responsibility, right? You might have obligations, homes, bills, etc. In many instances, family, children. These are some big responsibilities we're talking about here. However, I want you to understand something. This does not mean you're not capable. If you want to do something, folks, you'll find a way, and if not, you'll find an excuse. And obviously, inside the Entrepreneurial Collective's inner circle, we don't find excuses, we just get it done. So what I want to point out to you is this. There's principles and laws behind everything we teach, right? And this is, again, what's found inside of our inner circle. This is what we're here to show you. And the first thing I guess I want to bring out to your attention is this. You know, and this one comes straight from my favorite book, the Bible, right? It says, let your hands not be idle at night. All right. Now, here's the law I want you to make a note of, okay? Your work or your job is what they pay you to do. Your work is what you were born to do. There's a difference, right? That purpose, that gifting you have, that purpose and desire to bring that thing to the world, that right there is your work. That's exactly why you were born, and that's why you can't turn it off. Your job, your position, your career, because we hate that job word. Remember what that stands for? Just over broke. Tell me I'm wrong. But your career is something that might be providing for you right now. You might thoroughly enjoy, you know, it might be ticking all the boxes. The bills are paid, the family's happy, the vacations are being taken, and my kids are going to choose what school they want to go to. I get it. But again, you wouldn't be here unless you had exactly what it is I'm speaking about. And so it's really important that you understand, let your hands not be idle at night. You know, from my own personal experience, I remember having a very successful and fruitful career inside the car dealership, right? Like I was making a very, very handsome and comfortable six-figure income. Me and my girlfriend at the time, yes, my wife, I closed the deal. You know, we were enjoying steak and lobster every night. Who's cooking? Who's doing dishes? We're out at steakhouses, eating like kings, living it up, having an amazing time. And, you know, that was great for a season. But as I started to realize there was a bigger purpose and a bigger calling on my life, that's when I realized I needed to start to really dial in and be accountable for my time. So what do I mean by this? Well, I really learned and developed this principle here that, you know, you can't let your hands be idle at night. During the day, I had a number of functions to perform. Excuse me. I had, deals to close, appointments to follow up with and book. I had a lot of the actions that were necessary for me to experience the success that I did, and I did that great. Here's what the challenge was, is the second I stepped away from the dealership and that segment of my day was completed, all of a sudden I got into this reward mode. And many of you are guilty of doing the same thing. Again, only guilty if you have this desire, this thing inside you that we're talking about, your entrepreneurial journey. So what I soon realized is this thought, this idea, this concept, this passion that was burning inside me, it wasn't going to come out on its own. It wasn't something that would just show up one day and say, "Hey Al, we need you to leave the dealership because we got this full functioning business that's paying you 10 times the dough, ready for you to jump in the seat of and start driving." We only wish it was like that. However, what I did realize is I had to start allocating time and energy after my, career's obligations were fulfilled in the evening time. I remember when I was first talking to my girlfriend, now wife, and letting her know that, hey, the movies and the time we're spending together and this, that, and the third, I know you're enjoying it and so am I. And believe me, I want to take a step back from it so I can only go deeper in it into the future. But what needed to happen in that moment is I had to explain to her, as long with, the other loved ones and important people in my life, that I needed to capture back some time for myself. I needed to make time to build this vision, right? And that's just it. A lot of people have these great ideas and want to do a bunch of things, but write it down, folks. People who wish and want never have. That's why they're wishing and wanting. If you're going to move something from a want to an actual reality, there's going to be some work required. In fact, a lot of it. Now, with that being said, I started to peel back and I started to pour time and energy into what I was doing. And what was I doing? Well, I knew inside the automotive world that our sales processes, a lot of them left a lot to be desired. I also knew there were a lot of things that I was doing, little tweaks and adjustments that I had made that were bearing a ton of fruit. They were actually making me quite successful and, increasing the size of my paychecks drastically. Well, it was through some examples of, coworkers and newer people in the dealership, helping them out, lending a hand, giving them some advice, if you will. I saw just how quickly and effectively I was able to move their results, right? Just by implementing a few of the things that I was doing every single day in my career. Well, this and a number of other factors are what led me into starting my business. And my business was just that, training and developing sales representatives inside the automotive world. And it is to this day. We've just branched beyond that to sales of any and all kind because, as it's been explained before, sales is sales is sales. The only thing that changes is X, and X equals the product. So it was important that I made the time to do these things and bring these things along. Now, as I was doing that, I was starting to put together, programs and materials, and I was putting my thoughts to paper. It's one thing for me to understand things a certain way. It's another for me to understand that human beings are like snowflakes, and no two of them are the same. So if I was going to be an effective teacher and mentor to a variety of different human beings, I had to streamline the way that I was going to teach them. I had to figure out a way that I could be in front of a room where there might be 20 or 50 different people, different personalities, and literally be able to get across my point, get across the technique, and have, all of them absorb it and in turn apply it. So I was ironing all these things out, right? And as I started to get them all ironed out, I started to inch closer towards feeling like, hey man, it's time to take the plunge. I think I'm ready. Let's go. Now, here's the interesting thing. And I'm just sharing with all of you my personal experiences. And again, depending on your situation, you may or may not be afforded the liberty I was, to choose between one of the two options. Again, the first option I'm talking about here is bringing something along on the side. Now, here's where the challenges started to show up for me. I love when I'm working with individuals, sharing with them a funny little line that, in my opinion, shares a lot. I say to people, you can't be kind of pregnant. Hey, to all my ladies out there, have you or any of your friends, any of your lady friends ever been kind of pregnant? No, it's the most ridiculous sounding thing I've ever heard of in my life. You're pregnant or you're not. And what I soon realized is I was committed or I wasn't, meaning you can't be kind of pregnant. And while I was bringing, this business or growing and developing this business, this vision I had in my head, I was also still crushing car deals and I was, fully invested in that as well. And so it was a very difficult thing to try and manage. How was I going to transition from one to the other? Now, for those of you that are in a situation, you have the responsibilities, you have the bills, you have the home, you have the children, right? You have the daycare payments, you have all of this obligation. Well, this is where you are. This doesn't mean that we're not going to move forward. What it means is you're just going to have to really make that committed decision when it's time to jump. Now, I want you to think of something really quick here. Ever been to the circus? Whether you have or not, I'm sure you can understand what I'm about to share with you. I want to talk about the trapeze artists. You know those ones that are swinging on the pole, or the whatever you want to call it, the trapeze, in the middle of the air, right? And why do we enjoy watching them so much? Because they let go of the one bar and they flip in the air and they grab the other one. Now, why is that so amazing to watch? Well, because there's an incredible element of danger involved, right? They're way up in the middle of the air, and if they don't successfully grab this bar, they're going to fall. Now, luckily in the circus, there's a net down there. But no circus has ever sold tickets to watch these artists not jump, catch the other bar, and fall and bounce off the net. That's a bit of a letdown. At the circus, it's that whole element, that fear, that potential of things that could go wrong that intrigues us as human beings. It has us all watching saying, oh my God, don't blink, what's going to happen next? And then when they successfully pull it off, what do? We're all out there clapping away and we're like, oh my God, that was amazing. Well, this is exactly who you are as an entrepreneur. And what I want to remind you of is this. If you are in a current situation where you need to build this dream, this vision, and this goal along on the side while you continue to function in your career because you do have responsibilities, you must accept and understand that there will be a moment in time where you must let go of the one bar to grab onto the other. All right. You're not able to hang on both, and nobody has ever gone to the circus to watch a guy or girl swing in the air, grab the other one, and then just do this between the two of them. No, there's nothing exciting about that. It's filled with safety nets and certainty. And the whole thing that makes this whole journey exciting is how it's uncertain, the uncertain nature of, will you be successful grabbing the next bar? Now, listen, I'm not trying to say that if you've got a wonderful entrepreneurial journey in mind that you should just, throw caution to the wind and jump blindly to it. No, there are calculated ways that you could prepare yourself to know that you're going to be successful. Again, it's about understanding the laws of success. Everything that we describe in here, check it out if you haven't already. You see, when you understand the laws, success becomes predictable. Now, when you are going to make that decision, there's a few things that you want to make sure you have organized. Number one, if you are in this situation and you can't afford to just throw caution to the wind, and you do need to bring this thing along on the side, then what you must do is this, and make a note of it. You must make a note of exactly what it costs for your life to exist on a monthly basis. If you have children, if you have daycare payments, car payments, mortgage payments, whatever your obligations are, you need to have an acute list to the penny of how much money is required to do just that. Now, when you're forming that list, you also want to make sure that you're honest with yourself, right? You don't need to be eating out at the steakhouse every night, and that's something I had to learn when you're making this transition, right? So really, you have to say to yourself, what is my bare necessity? Because the reason you want to determine that number is before you get ready and take your leap, like the trapeze artist, you're going to put a contingency plan in place. For example, when I was starting my business, I knew that I needed to make $2,000 a month. We sat down as a family, which was just me and my wife at the time. The children hadn't come along yet. And I had to make $2,000. I'm a guy who was making 10, 15, 18,000 bucks a month, 20,000 a month on the good months. And in making those types of incomes, you never consider, what do I need? You know what I could tell you? I had more than enough to make the payments on the condo I was living in, drive the cars. Well, I was driving dealers' cars. I was driving the nicest cars you could drive, and they weren't costing me anything. And I didn't even care what the bill was every time we went out for steak and lobster, 200 and something bucks, whatever. Now, when I'm about to make this step and I'm about to make, this commitment to my entrepreneurial journey, and we're going to get into that because I did it a little bit differently, it was very important. I knew exactly what my nut was. Now, when I'm saying that to you, yours might be 4,000, 5,000, who knows what it is. But what you need to do is have that conversation with all of your loved ones, your partner, right? Whoever's responsible for those obligations along with you. And you have to have a conversation to say, listen, we need to figure out how we can guarantee getting these obligations fulfilled while I buy myself time to blow up this entrepreneurial venture. Now, again, there's a series of laws. Discipline actions taken on a consistent basis can and will guarantee results. It's the same as going to the gym and eating healthy, okay? You don't need to wonder if the abs will show up. Well, so is your business. So as long as you have an acute plan laid out, and again, this is what we teach entrepreneurs how to do, then you know the plan is in place, and based on the laws that we teach, you will know it's guaranteed. It's just a matter of you need to take those steps. Well, that's what gives you certainty in your own life and as a unit, you and your partner, the couple. And so all you need to determine then is, what does it cost for us to get by each month? There might be a season of 6 months, 12 months, 18 months where you're going to live skinny, man. You're going to just do what you need to do to get by as you bring the business along. But again, why are we doing this? We're doing this because we've acutely mapped out that when we bring this business along, it's going to deliver an abundance, not only financially, but with your time. Imagine having twice the time you do now to enjoy life and your loved ones and having 5 times the money to do so. Well, that's the goal. Remember, go and Google it. What's the definition of an entrepreneur? It's somebody who is willing to take above average risk for above average financial gain. We understand the law. We are all here with a purpose, and when we serve the world through our businesses, we're going to get paid for doing what we were created to do. What a concept, right? But now let's get back. So if you are this person who's going to be bringing this thing along on the side, you need to have it mapped out. You need to have it mapped out, understanding how much action is required to achieve your desired result. You need to know exactly what product, service, thought, idea, or concept you're bringing to the marketplace, what makes you unique, because if you're not unique, you're dead in the water. Again, we'll point that out to you real fast, and then I'll jump in and show you how to become unique. But you need to do all of these things while also having a contingency plan that's not going to have you getting scared and running back to your comfortable ways. Because this is something I personally experienced. You see, when I went to do it this way and bring it along on the side, I was kind of pregnant. I was fulfilling my roles inside the dealership, but then I was doing these kind of pregnant actions. I would, from time to time, reach out to a dealer a little bit outside my area, hopefully one that didn't know who I was. Because while my reputation was going to serve me to the market, I can't help but think about that saying. They say if you want to be an expert, you need to move over 2 states. And what I'm saying by that is, if I went to, dealers that knew me, oh yeah, that's Alan over at ABC Motors around the corner, they would never associate me with this training guy, this guru who's going to change the life of their sales teams. They would always say, oh, that's a successful car guy who's trying to be something he's not. This is the ignorance of human beings. So I would do my day roll. I feel like Bruce Wayne, right? Bruce Wayne during the day, and then I'd put my bat cape on to go be Batman from time to time in Timbuktu, in a place out of area. Now, here's what I realized. I hadn't nailed down all the approaches, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I was willing to move forward via the Braille method. I was going to do it all by feel, and it was painful. Yeah, I got kicked in the teeth a number of times. It was a very interesting experience to see how ineffective I was out in the marketplace. And one of the things I realized is after doing this a few times, literally over a 6-week period, I ran back to the car dealership. My ego couldn't handle it. My pride couldn't take it. You see, in the car dealership, I walked on water. Every single time we had a sales meeting, everybody was like, be more like Alan. This is how a sales call needs to be done. They had pressed play on a tape. It was me on the recording, right? So that felt good. That was easy, and it was comfortable. You're making a couple $100,000 a year and you have no children. You're kind of living a pretty nice life. Now, what I realized is what I want to transition to here. And this is the second way you bring about your entrepreneurial journey. In my opinion, it's the most effective, and I also will tell you, it is absolutely the most painful and most uncomfortable. Funny how that works, isn't it? You've heard me say in the past, I haven't seen a UFC, a mixed martial artist championship fighter that didn't have a scar. You know why? Because to become the champion, sometimes you need to get beat up. Sometimes you need to know that when you see that shoulder flinch, the punch is coming right behind it. Well, this is what I realized I needed to do. And this gets me to the second portion of what I want to discuss today on how to bring about your entrepreneurial journey. And you know what that is? You need to burn your ships, folks. That's right, burn your ships. Now, when I'm saying burn your ships, let me explain what I'm talking about. You could Google this and check it out. There's in history, a Spanish conquistador, a conqueror, Cortez, back in the 1500s, I believe. And you want to talk about a salesperson, man? Well, I'm about to show you one. You see, back in the 1500s, think about Christopher Columbus, right? Like, he hadn't even shown up yet, and everybody thought the world was flat. Like, they thought Columbus was nuts for going to find the other side of the world because they felt he was just going to fall off. Everybody thought the world was flat. And this Spanish conquistador, I'm going to give you the short version. What a salesman. He gets together with a bunch of Spaniards over in Spain, okay? I don't know, 300, 500, who knows how many there were. And he gets them all together and he says, I've got an idea. We're going to jump on a boat and we're going to go sail across the ocean to the Yucatan. Yeah, to the Mayan Riviera. Because they got a ton of gold there and we're going to go take it. And when we take it, we're going to be rich. Life will be awesome. And life will be way better for all of you than it is currently right now. Let's go. Now, I'm sure the pitch was a lot more refined than that, but I'm just giving you the short version, folks, on burning your ships. Well, let's fast forward. Obviously, history shows he was successful selling a bunch of people on this idea, and here they are now sailing across the world. Remember, nobody knows. Everyone thinks the world's flat. So, you talk about a closer. I'd love to have that guy on a dealership today. He would be crushing car deals, okay? But you've got this conquistador who's effectively influenced a number of human beings to get on a boat, sail across the ocean where the world's flat. They might fall off and just cease to exist. And sure enough, they get to the shores of the Yucatan, to the Mayan Riviera. Now imagine this. It was in this moment that he gathered them all together for one last hoorah, right? One last motivational push before we went and did all this amazing sounding stuff. I want you to think about listening to me right now. I'm talking to you about how amazing entrepreneurship is. I'm talking about the freedoms and all these wonderful things that come with it, right? And I'm also telling you that you're going to get beat up along the way. It's a part of it. You should smile and enjoy it. But this all sounds good. However, I want to remind you, everybody wants to go to heaven. Nobody wants to die. Well, when this boat pulled up to the edge of the Yucatan shore and it was time to go, I'm sure there was a lot of people who were like, this is going to work, right? Is this going to work? This is going to work, right? I'm sure there was. Well, as an effective influencer of human beings, Cortez would have gathered them all together. And this is what he said. He said, we're going to do it, folks, men, right? We're going to go and we're going to get this gold. And I want all of you to know that your kids are never going to have to work again. You are about to achieve generational wealth. We are going to get this gold. Life's going to be awesome. Let's get it. Everyone probably screamed, yeah, like this, right? Off the boat they go, right? They would have been a few hundred yards off of the ocean or off of the shore. And so get off the boat. They're all going ashore, right? Now, as they're going to shore, Cortez is the second last guy off the boat. After him, there's only one other person. As Cortez gets down on the ladder and he's about to lower himself to get off the boat and head to shore with everybody else, he says to the guy, the last guy, he says, hey, guy, I don't know what his name was. He says, hey, check this out. When you're about to come down, I want you to light this boat on fire, okay? Let's get it. He starts to climb. The guy must have been like confused, thinking Cortez lost his mind. What did you say? Cortez probably looked back up and was like, okay, maybe you're deaf today. Burn the ship, okay? Before you leave, light the match, burn the ship, burn it, okay? And then Cortez probably got back to going down. In that moment, this individual he was talking to must have gotten really high-pitched with his tone, right? Almost talking like Cortez had lost his mind. And said, Cortez, what are you talking about? What do you mean burn the ship? And I tell you right now, I can feel it. You didn't want to be on the boat that moment because that's when Cortez probably would have put a face like this on, and I can only imagine how his voice would have sounded. And you want to know what he said? He probably said something like this. Are you deaf? When you come down, burn the ship down. And then in that moment, the guy would have responded, what do you mean burn it down? How are we going to get home? Oh, baby. Oh, baby. You know what Cortez would have said and did say? If we are coming home, we are coming home in their boats. Burn this thing down. Whoa, did you feel that? You see, what Cortez knew is that the only thing that was going to make this mission successful was a level of commitment nobody on the entire ship would have experienced or felt before in their lives. Think about it. These guys, we're going to be rich. This sounds easy. Think about this. Yeah, I'm going to be an entrepreneur when I grow up because this is easy. Yeah, I'm going to make a ton of money and I'm just going to live on a jet ski all day because, this is easy. Yeah, that's how people sound right now. You might even sound like that right now. Oh, baby. And what would have happened is these guys would have gotten onto the shore, and at that very moment, when those Mayans and all the people inhabiting the island came running out with, whatever, axes in their hands, like, who are these people? It's go time. Right? They would have looked at each other and said, what the yeah. And then they would have said, we're out of here. Just like many entrepreneurs have wanted to come out and do what it is we do in the collective until it got a little hard. A little bit of resistance showed up and then they ran back to their comfortable existences, just like I did when I was kind of pregnant trying to do two things at the same time. Well, when those guys turned around like this and saw their ship burning down, commitment showed up, folks. That's right, commitment showed up. And you know what it looked like? It probably looked like this. Today's a great day to die. Let's get the gold. Wow. Shivers. Go check your history out. They got the gold, folks. And I'm going to argue the only reason they got the gold is because they burned their ships. Now, a little funny part of history that you also will read is they went there, they got the gold, and they had their way with the women on the island, and they ended up having a bunch of kids, that would have been like half Mayan and half Spanish. The kids grew up and then chased the Spaniards back off the island. Yeah, they reclaimed it. Crazy. But we're not talking about that portion of the history lesson. What we're talking about right now, folks, is you need to burn your ships. This entrepreneurial journey that's in your heart, I want to remind you of something. You're going to die one day, okay? Like, build a bridge and get over it. So if this is going to happen, you need to remind yourself that a coward dies 1,000 deaths and a soldier dies but once. What are you going to be? Because the only people inside the inner circle, the only entrepreneurs I know who can call themselves that, we're soldiers, man. We'll go out on our shield in the name of our purpose, in the name of the gold, in the name of our journey. Everybody else talks that way. Everybody else wants to go to heaven, but the second I offer them an invitation, all of a sudden their tune changes. You want to go now? You need to get this in your skull. You see, for me, you want to know what had to happen? I had to burn my ship. My business was born the day I made the decision I was going to give birth to it. In that moment, my wife was 3 months pregnant with my first child. You know what the world told me? Bring it along on the side, Al. You've got a baby coming. You've got a mortgage. You know what I understood, folks? Anybody who has a plan B is not committed to plan A. I understood the laws. I hadn't experienced them, and I didn't understand all of them, but I knew enough of them to get me to the next step. Success does leave clues, and there's not one entrepreneur out there that won't tell you they didn't have sleepless nights wondering, oh my God, is this going to work? But it is understanding the laws of success, the very ones that I've learned and developed over the last 25 years that I teach inside the Entrepreneurial Collective's inner circle, that allow you to find that confidence. And it's not only confidence, it's certainty that we know exactly how to build it out. And a part of building that out is you need to have faith, man. You see, faith steps on seeming void and finds the rock beneath. Write that one down. When you understand the laws, it gives way to confidence and certainty. All that's left is for you to have faith in them. Again, if you're lacking certainty in the law of gravity, go up onto the roof of a building, jump off, let me know how that goes. Gravity will not let you down. If you want to understand the law that a disciplined action taken on a consistent basis can and will guarantee results, eat right, work out every day, go talk to anybody with abs, they'll tell you it's real, it's flawless, it's infallible. but it's on you to have the faith to trust in them and take those steps. You see, with me, it was in that moment that when I went to call on a customer, I didn't have an appointment. Hi, I'm here to see Bob. Who are you? I'm Alan Dickie. I'm here for I have a 12:30 with him. Receptionist would look at me. What? Okay. Bob, your 12:30's here. I didn't have an appointment, folks, but I did have a baby on the way. And let me tell you something. No child of mine while I'm breathing is going hungry. What? Who are you? Alan Dickie, sir. I don't have an appointment with you. I totally understand, but I was able to get in front of you. And what if I was able to teach your sales representatives how to do the same? What? Come with me. I have a ton of unique ways that I was able to penetrate a market, get in front of the right decision makers, and ultimately have effective conversations that allowed me to effectively influence them to doing business with me. You see, you convict people of your value. I've said it in the past. Anytime two people get together and one person's conviction outweighs the others, you start giving up on your beliefs and start buying into mine. It's called being sold. You have to forgive me, folks. I treat this like a soldier. It's war out there. And you know what the war is against? The war is against the mediocrity, the crabs in the bucket that don't want to see you and your purpose hit planet Earth and be released to all of us here. That's why I tell you, the most wealthiest spot on planet Earth is the graveyard, because inside the graveyard are inventions that never made it, songs that were never written, music that was never composed, so much purpose buried underneath fear and a lack of faith to follow on what you were born to do and what you were born to accomplish. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about your entrepreneurial journey. And I'd love to give you some episode where I'm like, hey man, it's really simple. Like, go bake a cake and then give your neighbor a high five and it all works out. No, that's not what happens. What I can tell you is there are a series of laws and there are a number of secrets I've learned along the way. And it's going to require an understanding amongst you and your loved ones, a balance as to what the goal is. And then, of course, the methods on how we're going to bring it all together. But that's exactly why we've created the Entrepreneurial Collective, folks. You're watching this right now because you're one of us. And I'm speaking to every human being on planet Earth. The question is, who are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen to all the crabs in the bucket that want to tell you what isn't possible? Funny, isn't it? All those people with opinions on what won't work haven't accomplished a freaking thing of their own. And they want you to bathe in that same mediocrity with them. Why? Well, because misery loves company. But I want you to understand this. There's two ways to go about it. You can bring things along on the side, and I do know successful entrepreneurs who have done that, but I hate to tell you, Alan Dickie's not one who did it that way. Dare me to, and I could, because I know how to do it now. But what I'm going to tell all of you is that pressure equals prosperity. Yeah. I'm going to tell all of you, you will never know what you're capable of doing or accomplishing until you put your back so far against the wall, there's nowhere else to go. I'm going to share laws with you, folks, that necessity is the mother of all invention. When you have to figure something out, it's funny, isn't it? You figure it out. You've already proven this to yourself. Go back into your life. I know there's evidence of it. So I want you to remind yourself, this entrepreneurial journey, the only reason you have it in you, in your mind, in your body, in your soul, is because you were born with a purpose. Your purpose is something to be fulfilled in this thing called your life. And it's directly tied to the gifts you've been given as a unique human being here on planet Earth. Those gifts are not for you. They're for the rest of us. Just like this entire episode I've just filmed was not for me. I already knew this stuff. This was for you. And this is what my gift is to the world. I'm only here preaching it to you every Tuesday because I want you to take advantage of everything sometimes I don't think I deserve. But when I do have a gift and a calling to go out, have the faith to accomplish it, show it to you in plain sight, and then afford you an opportunity to learn it for yourself, then I'm going to operate under my gift. I'm going to operate under my purpose. And ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly why I've become valuable to the world, and the world now pays me to be myself. You've got two ways to do it, folks. 2 ways to accomplish your entrepreneurial journey. You either do that and bring it along on the side, understanding, right, that your career is what they pay you to do, but your work is what you were born to do. And let your hands not be idle at night. You work 9 to 5, you work 9 to 9. Don't care. Sleep less. Do it for a season. Everything is for a season. You go through a grind for a season. It could be 1, 3 years. To have the next 30, 50, 60 on your terms, it's worth it. I'm going to tell the rest of you, though, in my opinion, the most effective way, you need to burn your ships, man. That's right. You need to burn your ships. And if you want to understand how to confidently do so, you need to get inside here. Click on that link, type it into your bar, because all of your answers are right there. The only question is, are you the one who's just going to speak about it or be about it? The answers are in front of you, and you are without excuse. Ladies and gentlemen, that's another episode that I was dying to bring to all of you, and I'm so happy to have shared right now. Keep in mind, don't forget to like and subscribe, okay? And also, stay tuned. I'm unleashing all kinds of content onto this page. You know why? Because I understand many don't have the faith, so I'll let the proof show up. If you're not drinking my Kool-Aid or picking up what I'm putting down, this ain't for you, pal, but I know you are, and I know it is. Show up with the faith, and let's go and do it together. Because you want to know something selfishly, the gift you were sent to planet Earth with, I want it. Just as I know you've been enjoying the one I shared with you today. Ladies and gentlemen, until next Tuesday, I'll look forward to seeing you. Like and subscribe. Don't miss out on any of the notifications that are coming constantly with daily content. And I'll look forward to seeing all of you next time on the Entrepreneurial Collective Podcast. Make it a great day, everybody.